Hello, this is Dale Matthews, and I'm joined by Mike Jones. It's Saturday night, and where would you rather be than to be watching our show live, where we're going to be playing advertisements for you? Really? Yes, really, but they're non-commercial advertising. We're not selling widgets or anything. We're not powered by the Koch brothers or by anybody else. What we do is we try to be sure that people get a chance to hear the news. And it's got me kind of charged up because for days, we were the only place where you could hear the news about this vote that the Republican Central Committee took. I'm not a Republican, but I'm impressed by the fact that they took a stand. It's nice to see somebody take a stand. Hello, Democrats, would you consider taking a stand about anything? Hello? Or maybe even some other kind of parties that are supposedly in the area. How about taking a stand? People don't even know you exist. Okay?
Right.
Hello, Mike.
Yes, I am here, by the way.
Yes. Well, he asked me to vamp a little bit
Yes.
at the beginning, so that's what I was trying to do. I do it anyway.
Yes.
So what happened was that Mike and I went to the Republican Central Committee where they took a vote, and that's going to be explained ad nauseum to you in these ads. It's 6 variations on a theme. We're at ad number 470, something like that. We run 6 of these every week. So you can just imagine, you'll just have to imagine, because I don't know off the top of my head, how many of these have played since, well, no, I know that, how many weeks that's been. Since we started the website. It's been over 2 years. Every week we run 6 variations on a theme. And so
which would be 104 weeks.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Can you work up a chart or a graph about that?
I just went 52 times 2.
Okay.
That's about as tricky as it gets with me. Sorry.
Okay. So we're just going to jump straight into the ads. I know you're dying to hear them.
Yes. They must be.
Yeah. Well, I spent a lot of time on these.
Yes. So you will listen to them.
Yeah, I've been working my fingers to the bone. This is me working my fingers to the bone, right? See, this is it. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Yes. That's also many other things. But anyway, okay, here we go. Oh, for crying out loud. There's a sequence which you have to do this. And when I do it like this is what you get.
That's not my voice.
Editor of badcounty.com. We found again that the Courier and local radio station are covering up the news. The Republican Central Committee voted strongly last Tuesday to oppose the property tax levy. John Voorhees, why did you debate so long before even deciding to print this story?
Before, really, Dale? That's not the way I said it in the first place. It just came out sort of a little garbled there at the end. But that's okay. That's okay. People, I think, probably know. So who the heck is John Voorhees? He's the president of the Daily Courier.
I thought Barack Obama was the president.
No, it's John Voorhees. He's the president of the Daily Courier. So if you're reading things in the Courier or not reading things in the Courier, or you're dissatisfied with the fact that they keep calling it some kind of scientific poll and it's all fake, then John Voorhees is the ultimate person to go to and say, John, what do you think you're doing here, bud? You are covering up the news.
Yes.
Yes, and he'll be about as responsive as Keith Heck. Play the next one, please.
Oh, the next one already. Okay, all right.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. We found again that the Courier and local radio station are covering up the news. The Republican Central Committee voted strongly last Tuesday to oppose the property tax levy. Kevin Whittison, why did you debate so long before even deciding to print this story?
So, who is Kevin Whittison?
Well, yeah, he's the publisher, right?
No, he's the editor, but close enough.
Editor, okay. Same thing.
You would have liked to have been a fly?
I would have liked to have been a fly. Well, because apparently some huge debate took place, and we all apparently missed it. It was not televised, I guess.
No, it wasn't televised. They wouldn't let us in with cameras.
What? And it was really long. Apparently, it was really long. They debated a long time.
Well, it took days. Look, this vote
Oh,
of the
days.
Republican Central Committee took place on Tuesday night. We had it out to you if you're on our list of 500 plus people who want to know the instant news. Instant news. It's better than instant coffee.
News. Yes.
We sent that out within minutes of me getting back home.
Mhm.
And from Williams Highway. And I sent that out first thing. I still had my tie on and everything else, and I'm playing the piano? No, I'm sending out an email to everybody. And when I go like this, boy, that email comes out really garbled. What the heck is this from Dale?
Hey, have you seen the commercial? This is such a goofy commercial. I think it's like a sheep. And the sheep is telling this guy he has to go with this particular investment company. And he says, you got to call him on your phone. And he starts stepping on the guy's phone and shattering the glass on the phone. It's mad. Perhaps it's just me, but I thought that was
it's educational. That's great. Well, yeah, right. So, yeah, this looks like a kitten on the keyboard again, Dale. Yes, well,
exactly.
The internet is mostly kittens, sex, and politics.
Yes.
Not necessarily in that order. So, or sometimes combined. Woo.
Yeah.
So what we had this thing out to you guys, those of you that get the instant thing, and you can get that from us anytime you want to. It's all free. And we'll tell you what the news is. Well, so that's Tuesday night. There was time, and I've seen them do it before. The Courier could have printed it the next morning. Yes, it's a morning newspaper, and no, it's an afternoon newspaper, but they did have the chance to get that out before the time came, or they could at least put a story on their internet feed thing where you can go and you can look, and it's not a feed then, is it? Yeah, well, yeah, my tech
You
powers.
go on the internet
and do that. Yes,
yes.
right. And you can, or you can do something like this, and you can hold your hands up, and you kind of hold them just right, and you can receive the news. It just comes, yeah, it's like wearing a tinfoil hat. When you're in this county, there are people who I think really do that.
Yes.
It keeps the chemtrails.
I'd save time. I had him pull my scalp up and put the tinfoil underneath. That way, I don't have to worry about putting it on. I don't have to worry about it falling off while I'm sleeping.
It goes next to that embedded chip of yours?
Yes, exactly.
That's why they call it the
blocks. It blocks the government from talking to me through that chip.
Yeah, well, they're still talking to me. Yeah, but it's all scatological. So,
okay.
So look, they could have done it, but they didn't. Okay, so that's Wednesday afternoon. Nothing. So I went to the morning meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, and really nothing more than that, but nobody understood me. Okay, like in Peanuts.
Charlie Brown,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, Charlie Brown, right. And so I went to the city council meeting that night, and guess what? K-Joe, same guy was there, and the same. Why do they go? Why bother? Another committee was appointed. So what? You need to be there live for that?
Right. I mean, they could just take a memo from, why don't you guys just send us what happened? I really don't understand why they go.
Well, partly because they get abused by me. I say, hey, you're supposed to be journalists. And, they're in the room. They're one over each shoulder, I'm watching the news. No, you're not. You're not writing anything down, and you're not doing it. I mean, even Cheryl Walker puts her head down and scribbles 1,000. Of course, she's writing 100 miles an hour. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. But at least she's writing something. These guys, do you understand what news? No, one of my favorite phrases, I made this up, they wouldn't know the news if it jumped up and bit them on their posteriors. Rather corpulent posteriors. Or if they had both hands and a flashlight and it was pasted to their bottom, they couldn't find the news. Look, here's the thing. This event happened, and I'm saying, where's your story? Where's your story? Where's your story? Not quite that adamant, but I'm making fun of them. Mm-hmm. And apparently it finally worked with the Courier, because 3 days later they did a story. But not the Daily Courier. They refused to tell you the news. Go ahead and play the next one, Mike.
Okay.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. We found again that the Courier and local radio station are covering up the news. The Republican Central Committee voted strongly last Tuesday to oppose the property tax levy. Jim Moore, why did you debate so long before even deciding to print this story?
Yes, and Jim Moore's in there pounding on the table. I'm telling you guys, we need to print this now.
No, I think it's more likely the opposite. I'm telling you, we must never print this.
Yes, but if they're all saying that, who are they debating with?
I think they just didn't want. Well, like Keijo has flat out decided they're not going to tell you this story. What kind of radio station decides they're not going to tell you the story?
Well, okay, you know what? No, I think I understand it, because when you go into the weekly business session, do they ever tell you any kind of news, anything like this at the weekly business session? No, what they tell you is Joe has been working for us for 35 years. Hey, come on up, Joe, and receive your plaque. And Joe comes up and receives his plaque. Do you have anything to say? Thank you. And you know,
and then everybody is required to burst into applause, only for county employees, never for anything else. There's a solid rule. No, it's on the wall. No applause, no applause, except for county employees. And then it's kind of, and then it's like one of those movies from the 50s where everyone's going like this at the party meeting.
Yes, right. No, it's the only news that they print or broadcast is if it's news to government, then it's news to us. That's what they would probably say. And so, I guess this whole thing, it's just not news to them, because it goes against their manner of thinking, which really ought to bother people. If there's only one manner of thinking allowed, then what in the H-E-double-T?
Well, but okay, so finally the Courier prints something 3 days later, and it's mostly a fluff piece about why you should be voting for the levy. It's written as supposedly as a newspaper article by our favorite journalist, Jim Moore. He deserves all the recognition we could possibly give him. Hello, Jim. How's it going, bud? So they finally report this story. And, well, that was an illegal vote and people didn't understand, and everybody was confused. Nobody was confused. They even delayed the vote 2 weeks so you could come up.
There was some angry people, but no one was confused about that. Nobody was.
So controversy, news, controversy, sometimes they go together. And what I did at my little speech at my big speech at the city council meeting is I said, remember the story, dog licks ice cream cone on the front page of the Courier? You know what played the day where this could have? It was a darling little story about be careful when you're feeding baby animals. What? I mean,
you know what, Dale? I mean, you make reference to this dog licks ice cream cone, and I always thought that was just something you said to make fun of some particular of a fluff type front page story when nothing else is going on. But this must have actually happened.
It was a real story on the front page, above the fold
of the Courier.
Yes.
I'm assuming. Yes. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, hey, some days you don't have news,
Right. Well, in other news, Iran destroys Israel.
Yes.
Details tomorrow. Right. Thank you, guys. Right. So, and now you'll notice on these 6 variations on a theme that I'm not saying the name of the radio station. Well, that's a little odd, Dale. Now that I think about it, you say the Daily Courier. I could call it a number of different things. And then you say, and local radio station. Now, why do you do that, Dale? Because we run these ads on KMED. They're very nice. They don't edit our ads. Unlike the Courier, which will edit, you may not know this, they will edit, they've done it to me, your letter to the editor to suit themselves. and change words if they don't like the words that you use. I don't mean scatterlot. I don't mean, curse words. I mean just, I said that something was an infomercial once, and they said it was a program, which made no sense at all. Okay, it doesn't make any sense now either, but I'm used to not making sense. Anyway, they changed my words, and so then the letter meant absolutely nothing. And they mentioned to Mark Seligman, well, you can write an opinion piece. That's a longer piece, but you can't criticize our government. What? What kind of newspaper says this?
Yeah, listen, I believe it was almost the original function of press in this country was to be the check on government.
We're the only independent journalists in the whole dang place. I mean, yeah. I kind of like Dan Mancuso off and on, although he's a Cheryl Walker fan, and he's going to vote for the levy, it looks like. Okay, Dan, despite all kind of logic that I can think of, okay, you're certainly welcome to your opinion. But he was the one that told me, well, I can't print that story. I won't print that story. I won't print that story because my advertisers wouldn't like it. Dan, get out of the business, okay? Just get out. If you're not printing something because your advertisers won't like it, you're in the wrong business, really. Well, that's my opinion.
Perhaps. Yeah. Well, I mean, ally yourself with advertisers who like what you're doing.
Well, that's what that advertising circular that purports to every once in a while report the news. That's what that guy does. It's just an advertising circular. It goes to all the houses. It's stuffed in there with your Wendy's. Coupon and stuff like that, and so you get this thing too. Oh, look, here's the news. That's not the news. Give me a break. But okay, so I didn't mention. I was going to say I didn't mention the name of the radio station because KMED doesn't like mentioning KJO. Don't like mentioning them by name.
Right.
Okay. So I had a way to handle that. Play the next one, would you please?
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. We found again that the Courier and local radio station are covering up the news. The Republican Central Committee voted strongly last Tuesday to oppose the property tax levy. Carl Wilson, why do you refuse to report this?
Okay. That's just
Carl.
So I mentioned the guy by name. Is that better? Then don't say Kjo. Okay. I'll just say Carl Wilson.
Yeah. Well,
it's this disturbing thing that we found. I mean, this whole levy bit has ended up being a helpful thing in some ways. It's uncovering the people who were yelling. The pro-levy guys were invited to make a presentation to the Republican Central Committee. The anti-levy people, they had their chance. But when the pro-levy people were presenting, there were some folks who tried to shout them down. Hey, wait a minute. That didn't happen to you. They were trying to stop them. They kept interrupting their presentation. Who were these people? Mike Jones. Who were they?
Well, yeah, I kind of have these people almost memorized by now. It was, Keith Traherne to some degree. If we're talking about the previous meeting, yes, that's right. It was Keith and Nancy Traherne, Connie Roach, and Harry Mackin.
Now, who is Connie Roach?
She's the assessor.
The county assessor.
Yes, and listen, I've said this before, but it should really bother you that we have an assessor who really wants to go out of her way to make sure that you're taxed in as many ways and as confiscatory a rate as possible.
Ooh, confiscatory rate. Wow. Yes. Like the name of that band from the 60s.
Right. Yes.
Here's the thing. Now, I've mentioned this before, too. This is the same Connie Roach, the county assessor, who told the SOS meeting, I was there. And she says, now, when you get your signatures on to put this on the ballot, that was the last levy that failed. And the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that. Okay. But she said, when you bring in these forms, you just bring them straight over to the courthouse, everybody. To the courthouse, really. Oh, the commissioners are not involved, but bring them to the courthouse. Bring them to my office, the county assessor's office, and you can turn in your forms to put this on the ballot to me at the county assessor's office. And did I mention it's in the courthouse? Really?
Yes, but this levy has nothing to do with the county.
So I brought this up at a weekly business session. Of course I did. Oh, Dale, that's so rude. Okay, you'll get over it. I brought it to a weekly business session. Oh, they had a cow. She never said this was the headquarters. I never said it was the headquarters. Why, she never said it was the headquarters, Mr. Matthews. I never said it was the headquarters. I just said she said to bring this, but you can't do that, see, because what happens is you say your thing, and then you sit down, and then they wait. And then during their protected time, and everybody's calling it the protected time now. I love this. It's amazing to see a word that you say end up in somebody, this is a little back room in a protected time. Oh, really? These are, okay, whatever. Whoever made it up, it doesn't matter. Anyway, during their protected time, well, Mr. Matthews, you obviously don't understand the system, and we have nothing to do with this. And she did not say this was their headquarters. Okay.
Right. And in other news, you can buy your McDonald's hamburgers over at Wendy's.
Gee,
you know.
So I mentioned Carl Wilson, and then here's number 5. Go ahead.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. We found again that the Courier and local radio station are covering up the news. The Republican Central Committee voted strongly last Tuesday to oppose the property tax levy. Chuck Benson, why do you refuse to report this?
Now that came through
because they told me not to.
Yes, well, maybe so. Or he just remember that when the anti-levy people, when they it sounds like something that stops you from rising up in the air, spontaneous that's anti-levitation. When the anti-levitation people, when they went on KJO, the guy that was there, it wasn't Chuck Benson, it was the other guy that sounds like Chuck Benson. He really does.
Yeah,
and
Marty.
He was like, Marty. And you were one of the people. Okay, you know what I mean.
Yes,
Go ahead.
I was one of the people. And so is it Marty Seether or Marty Sether?
I think Sether.
Sether.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
But like that musical instrument thing, the Sether. Yeah. Or is that Sether? Yeah. Okay. So, so he's inserting things into your. I said, when you guys go, here's how do you handle that? Because this is what Sandy and I did once. We went down to KJO and we said, you'll probably be tempted to ask us questions or to quiz us about this. Don't worry, we can handle this on our own. And the guy shut up during the entire time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, well. And then this same guy, he was the one that was involved with the pro-levy people and saying, this at least never going to let this down. You know what I'm going to say.
Oh, yes, I do.
It's just like ISIS.
Yes.
Right. We got a bowl on the border. The people who oppose this are in favor of insanity. Yeah, that's us. We're in favor of insanity. Yes. This is going to pass. This is not going to pass. What I mean is this time is going to pass by. Then we'll be on to the next subject, whatever that is. It'll probably be Mike and his favorite subject of legalizing marijuana. And we'll go on. We'll go on. All right. I did one more because there were 6. There were 3 people involved at the Courier. That's the president, it's the editor, and it's the reporter. And then over at KJO, it's the owner and the reporter. And then I had one left over. And so I did this to point out the difference between us and them.
This is Dale Matthews, editor of badcounty.com. We found again that the Courier and local radio station are covering up the news. The Republican Central Committee voted strongly last Tuesday to oppose the property tax levy. At badcounty.com, we'll bring you the news, even if nobody else will.
Yeah, man.
That's what I'm telling them in this picture right here. This is at the city council. There were city councilors that didn't know this news. Now, we don't play these things back to back. Who wants to hear 6 ads in a row? Who wanted to hear it tonight? Nobody. Okay. But we play them back so that you know what it is that we're doing. Okay. And truth in advertising. And we play them back for you. Now, then they play throughout a 3-hour period. One every half hour for every day of the work week over at KMED. So you wouldn't. So there's a little repetition in it because people sometimes tune in, tune out of KMED, and you can listen to them if you want to. They have commercials. We have commercials on there, and you can listen to them between 6 and 9 a.m. With the Bill Meyer Show. Bill's been in Washington D.C. He'll be back on Monday, and we've done it 700 something times now, just to try to tell you what the news is. A little repetition is basically a good thing. A little repetition is basically a good thing. A little repetition is basically a good thing. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, a little. Yes, that's a key. That's the key there. A little repetition. Hey, you know what? Since you mentioned it, and since it's really part of our hit parade here, let's play the ISIS sighting again.
Oh, okay. I'm for that.
Okay, here we go.
We can no longer sit back and expect somebody else to take care of it for us, because it won't happen. The bad guys will dictate the future of our community, and we can't tolerate that.
Well, yeah, and once they gain a foothold, it'll only get worse. And let's use ISIS as an example here, how our president labeled them JV, and guess what? They made varsity. And we don't want to see that happen in Josephine County.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I've changed the image over my shoulder, and this one has a central image up here that looks like a lot like a robot that's breaking into your car. There was a scene from a movie that's fairly famous where there were robots breaking into this guy's car and grabbed the steering wheel and said, "You are experiencing an automobile accident." It's like, "Hell, I am." Okay, now I sound like Mike. And so I thought, that reminds me a lot of what they're trying to tell us. You are experiencing a crime wave. No, we're not. Okay, so according to all the statistics, we're not. Well, we don't like statistics. Yeah, I wonder why. So what I did was I went and I took that and under the fair use laws, and under the ability to take a short, not the entire movie, but to take a short segment and make it into a political parody, what I did was I made that into a funny little thing, or sort of funny, I hope that you find it funny, on badcounty.com. It's right here near my finger. Just follow my finger. See, yes. There it is. Okay, and you can go and see that anytime on badcounty.com. There's no charge for now. There's no charge, and you can see other videos that are there that are also equally fascinating. But this is kind of fun. There's two versions. One is it runs faster, but the quality is just a little bit lower, and the other one runs, depending on your speed, will look a lot better. Now, Mike has a couple of stills from this, and I've been try to be careful, because you can show images from a film for about 45 seconds, really, and then they say, oh, you're violating the copyright law. We're not going to be doing that.
Dale, you just keep talking about that, because I don't have those loaded up right now, and if you just keep talking about
I will.
We burn up a whole bunch of time, then maybe I will have those on the screen by the time you're done talking.
I thought he was playing that audio clip, because what I decided to do is the detective is sitting in this futuristic car, and he's not driving it. The car is driving himself, and so he's listening to the radio. And so I pop up a thing up on the screen that says on his windshield that says rotary radio. Okay, and there's about a dozen Easter eggs. Easter eggs are little hidden things that you only can see if you move really fast. And so I put them on there, and then I played the whole thing again, this time stopping to point out the Easter eggs. Well, some of what's on there is Marty on there with Julie talking about how it's ISIS, and then when the robots are attacking, it's just like ISIS. It's just like ISIS. It's just like ISIS. It's just like ISIS. And while they're attacking, so it's a little bit of fun. And there's a scene in there. We're not going to show you the thing now, but there's a scene in there where the car is flipping.
I have stuff ready if you want.
Oh, thanks. Well, okay. So here's something that I did with the documents that he was looking at. And you can see that it is the Daily Courier. Ha ha. Yes. And then the headline underneath it says, to defend Levy, police chief claims, this is an actual quote from the police chief, perception is reality.
Yes.
Nice. And this is what the detective is looking at while the car is driving itself. So I can show you this because this is mostly our work. And if you look, you can't see this, but if you could see in the upper right-hand corner, instead of saying, you know, here's some advertising thing, it says parody, which is a kind of a bird. Okay, then
Yes, right.
go to the next one, please. Okay, this is a little difficult to see, but this is looking over the shoulder of a fellow that is controlling everything from above, and it says badcounty.com. Oh, thank you, Mike. Excellent work. Assessing top secret files, actual crime rate not for release. And
yes.
over in the upper
and it's
left
going down. Look, it's going down.
It's
Dale.
going down. It's going down. This is one of those things where I must have spent 2 hours on this, and it's on the screen for about 4 seconds. But that's movies. Okay, go to the next one, please, Mike. This is this thing that the guy has that's on his desk. These are small things where you can't. Where you wouldn't know that it was some copyrighted this, that, or the other thing, and we can show it to you for less than 45 seconds. And you see I attached a little thing to it that says SOS. This is the device that they use to control the universe. Okay, and one more. This is where the robots are going to jump out. The whole thing goes up, and the robots jump out, and they jump on the detective's car. And boy, I spent a lot of time replicating the typeface and everything else so that would say, in a sort of a clunky way, SOS instead of Universal Robotic Control or whatever the name of that thing was. And so just a little bit of fun with this, and come back to us, Mike, and just a little bit of fun so that you can maybe enjoy this. And there's a scene in there where the car is rolling over and explosions are happening, and there's all these flames and everything. And then I put a little thing down the bottom saying, typical meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, and everything is going crazy. So,
which is fairly accurate sometimes.
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Explosions and people. The only thing missing from that part of the film was people gnawing on furniture.
Yes. Well, and what was it that? Oh yes, they even wrote this. Well, they've said in the past in the Courier that certain regulars have taken over the meeting. We take over the meeting during our 3 minutes.
Yes.
The 3 minutes, all the 3 minutes added together is about like 1/6 or sometimes 1/10 of the. We've taken over the meeting, and well, partly because the commissioners say, "Well, I'm going to answer you. You've got to keep that on your lap, and from now on, stop bursting into flames," or whatever it is that they think that we're doing. He did it again. Jim Moore did it again about this thing at the city council meeting, that the evening was dominated, I think that's the word he used, by the 3 people who got up and each had 3 minutes. That's 9. Have you ever been to a city council meeting? These things can last all night long, it seems like. I mean, it's the next 3 days later at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was dominated by, there were 3 speakers. Plus Rika Brown saying the opposite. Whoa, the levee is wonderful. She didn't exactly talk that way.
Yes, right, exactly. No, so she would have been talking about leaves or mulch or something.
She was going to. She got up and said, "I was going to talk about mulch," but this is more interesting. You think?
Yes, absolutely. Now, if you want to see the inverse of this, go over to a Jackson County meeting. Their meetings last about 10 minutes. They say, everybody's doing things at hyper speed, and then the whole thing's over in 10 minutes.
Here, really fast. Really fast.
Yeah, and in Josephine County, we never get anything done in less than an hour. Now, it's very, very rare.
You may say, no, wait a minute there, boys. How can I possibly tell what's happening at those meetings? Well, let me tell you. Due to Mike's technical acumen, we carry their meetings too. We carry them live. Mm-hmm. We carry them on the front page of our website. And if you look right down here in this area that you can't possibly see because it's too small on your screen, we have Jackson County meeting, live every week. Sorry, Josephine County, Medford, Grants Pass City Council, Cave Junction Council, and the Bill Meyer Show. Really, not because there's any money being exchanged, but because we want you to be able to listen to their city council meetings and county commissioners meetings, and so you can listen to it. Why the heck do we do that? Because we're news.
Oh, because we're we're just completely insane.
We're dominating the news media. We're dominating the news media. This is one place that you can come and find out what the heck is going on, because you're not going to find it by listening to KJO. Why? Why are they decided that you cannot hear this news? And it's not a small thing. They don't want you to know.